Yuuya remembers the sage's explanation on how magic is the realization of imagination. He puts that into practice and started imagining a place in the forest, and then to his surprise he opens a portal that leads directly to the place he imagined. But this means that he can only use this magic and go anywhere he has visited before. With this ability it means that he can come back to the fantasy world from the real world by going through this magic gate. It is also handy as he is also preparing for his school off-campus study camp. He can come to check on Knight while he's away. Later they wander into a dark cave, in which Yuuya uses his magic torch to illuminate the cave. They face two goblins that they quickly dispatch with a combination attack. And then Knight draws Yuuya's attention to a pile of rare items, and Yuuya comments on how much better they are getting at fighting together. The two make their way out of the cave and Yuuya states that it's enough exploration for the day, which gets Knight upset. However, after Yuuya explained that he has a school trip to prepare for, Knight understands the situation. Suddenly Knight dashes off after something caught his attention, but when Yuuya follows him to see what caught his attention, Knight asks him to erase his presence, and then Yuuya used his stealth mode skill. They proceed forward and they find an injured girl, which was surrounded by several higher-level goblins. Yuuya summons his weapon to save the girl, but Knight holds his cape preventing him from going forward. Yuuya listens to Knight's warning and hangs back observing the situation. The girl puts up decent resistance as she counters the leader's attacks, even taking his arm in the process. And she uses her strings to block the assault from 3 lackeys, but it leaves her open to a mighty kick from the goblin leader, which sends her flying and then crashing into a tree. She loses her consciousness before the monster can finish her off, but Yuuya can't help himself not interfering and finishes the leader off. Yuuya and Knight later find that they are surrounded by a staggering number of high-level goblins. And when the goblins launch their attack on them, Yuuya pulls out a powerful whip, which he uses to restrain and squeeze the life out of the goblins. Yuuya is shocked by how overpowered the weapon is, while Knight finishes off the remaining goblins. Yuuya carries the girl and leaves the danger area, and he states that since they finished off most of the monsters in the area, it will be easier for Owen and the others on their next visit. He wonders what to do with the girl and decides to bring her to the house to help tending to her wounds, but Knight didn't agree with his plan. Suddenly the girl gains consciousness and wakes up, and she requests Yuuya to unhand her while kicking and screaming, causing Yuuya to drop her and her head bounces off a tree. Her eyes tear up while she holds her head in pain. Yuuya offers her some cure-all juice. He tells her that it will heal her wounds if she drinks it. The girl is hesitant and skeptical at first, and when Yuuya noticed her behavior, he offered to take a sip to prove that it is safe to drink. She takes the risk and just decides to drink it, and then all her wounds healed in an instant. The girl is amazed and she wonders who Yuuya is. He takes the chance to introduce himself, while Knight is still very hostile towards her, which confuses Yuuya, but the girl knows full well why it's weary of her. She later introduces herself as Luna, and tells Yuuya that there is no need for them to be so formal toward each other. He asks her what she is doing in a dangerous place like this forest. She lags a little before telling him that she was training but she got swarmed by the goblin elite pack. Luna wonders what happened to the goblins and Yuuya tells her that he and Knight finished them all off. She is impressed with their strength and expresses her gratitude for saving her life. Luna asks Yuuya of his purpose in the darkest regions, but Yuuya only tells her that he's training too, which made her shocked, and she almost exposed herself as she knows that the forest is no place to be training at. They exchange a very guilty laugh, as it is obvious that they are both lying. Luna apologizes for being a burden by making him carry her, as she is completely filthy and sweaty from all the running around. She looks for a river to wash up, but Yuuya offers her his portable bath. While she is bathing in peace inside the veiled bath, Yuuya tells her that he acquired it from a crystal deer after finishing it off. She gets shocked after hearing that he can defeat such a legendary monster and understands how he can casually train in the dark region. She mutters that she's not in the dark regions to train, but to rather fulfill a customer's request. Since they are both training, Luna suggests that he accompany her in the training for a little while, and Yuuya agrees to the arrangement, which gets her excited. Over the coming days, they venture deeper into the forest as they fight more goblins. And since they are in the wilderness, they have no other option but to enjoy the tough goblin meat. And when they are not fighting monsters, Yuuya and Luna sharpen their skills through sparring and teaching each other new fighting techniques and tactics. They all got stronger in the process, and this is demonstrated when they team up to easily defeat a horde of high-level goblins. Later, Yuuya tells her that he will not be able to train with her starting from the next day. Because of his school off-campus study trip, she's a little sad to hear that but can't complain, because he has done well by her. Luna expresses her gratitude, and Yuuya thanks her because he has learned a lot from her. Later, Yuuya relaxes in the bath with Night while wondering why Luna allowed him to use the bath first. His questions are answered when she tells him that she wanted them to use it together since it's their last day. Yuuya starts to panic as she enters the bath. He prepares to leave so that she can wash alone, but she hugs him from behind, preventing him from leaving. She expresses her gratitude for the way he has accommodated and nurtured her to get stronger, and it saved her. This confuses Yuuya, and she explains that although it was a short while, Yuuya showed her the brighter side of the world, and she will treasure the time they have spent together. She offers to wash his back, but when Yuuya turns around to talk to her, he found that her towel has fallen and Luna gets embarrassed. The next day, the classes are in their buses as they make their way to the field trip. In the back, Yuuya and his friends play a game of cards to pass the time, and Yuuya won the game for the 5th time. Yuuya gets bored and decides to retire to get some sleep. Yuuya won the game because he used many points in his luck stats, which may have also resulted in the exciting situation in the bath with Luna. Later they arrived to off-campus site, and the teachers informed the students to change their clothes and assemble in the hall. Later they gather as instructed, and their teacher reveals that this training is to prepare the students for their future as elites. They are to survive 1 night and 2 days in the wilderness, and in regards to the food, they will be given only rice. But they are to feed themselves from the wilderness as the mountain has an abundance of mushrooms and fish in the river. The students seemed unpleasant with how things are going. Kaeta asks how they are to differentiate between the edible and dangerous mushrooms since they are novice campers. The teacher tells them to show the mushroom to them before cooking, and if there is any poisoning case, their school doctor Yamakawa will treat them. The doctor steps forward with a strange laugh and swirls a beaker of medicine, stating that all will be fine as long as she gets to administer its contents. Yuuya is a little surprised that she's the school's doctor. Kaeta tells him that her infirmary is always shrouded in darkness, and screams can always be heard coming out of it. Akira says that he can handle 2 days without food to avoid the dangers, but their teacher cuts him off and calls him a coward, as facing the dangers head-on is part of the coursework, and it's also a competition between the classes. She finally reveals that students' performance affects the bonus assessments of their homeroom teachers, so they should fight like their lives depend on it. The students find out that they will be camping in the wilderness and not sleeping in the fancy facility. They're given their tents and other basic supplies, and while the others seriously inspect what they have, Akira is too busy showing off again. His teammates forget about him as they devise an action plan. Yuuya and Kaede are to go to the river to fish, while Akira and Rin will look for edible mushrooms. The fishing team find the river is crowded and all the good fishing spots are taken. Yuuya relies on his sensor abilities to find a hidden place that has plenty of fish but are in shallow water. He rolls his pants and takes his bucket inside the water, and then put the training he learned from Luna into practice, to anticipate the fish movements, and catches them by hand. Everyone is shocked after seeing his skills in catching fish. Later Kaede asked him to stop, as he got carried away and caught too many fish. Meanwhile, back in the fantasy world, Luna confirms that her skills are now sharper, after she beheaded some dolls smoothly. She remembers Yuuya as she acknowledges his beauty. It is revealed that Luna has lived as an assassin since she was a child. She wishes she met him earlier, but she's a professional slayer and accepts the reality that she is a member of the Dark Guild and she is known as the head hunter. Luna puts on her mask knowing that she must say goodbye to Yuuya. Meanwhile in the palace, Princess Lexia is so excited and sets off to the darkest regions to meet Yuuya again. And that's the end of the video. Please tell me your opinion, and like the video. Take care, and stay tuned for the next episode.